I'm on my prime, I'm feeling like Steph. I get my shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next. I need my bag, just want me to check. Cable was mine, I ain't taking less. I told them all I'm as real as it gets. Shit be a shit, dog, I'm cutting the net. I thought I told them I came for my spot. They told me time is like money, that's why I done made it. I sweated, I'm spending a lot. They never seen the hours I put in to get here. They only just see what I got. I spent my time in the lab all this winter. I sweated the summer is gonna be hot. I cannot lie on this shit. I paid a lot for this shit. They got some money to spend. I got some money to get. I gotta talk on this shit. That's why I told them I'm here. I feel like I'm in the league. I just keep making these hits. Took a little break, but I swear that I'm back. Going ask anybody, put a city on the map. They was trying to call when they sent a contract, but I never reply unless they send it for the max. Everything I said, man, they know it's all facts. Told them if they want a verse, and they go and get text. Told them last year that I'm coming for it all. Go and check the numbers, dog, I'm putting up stats. Yeah. I'm on my prime, I'm feeling like Steph. I get my shot and I promise it's wet. Waited too long, but I told him I'm next. I need my bag, just want me to check. Cable was mine, I ain't taking less. I told them all I'm as real as it gets. Shit be a shit, dog, I'm cutting the net.
NYYST. This is New York. Yankee sports talk. Swinging for the fences, knock it out the park. This is New York. Yankee sports talk. Christian and Chris, of course SGR. This is New York. Yankee sports talk, homie. New York. Yankee sports talk. Record, rain or shine. Grab your shades and umbrellas. NYYST. You're hanging with the fellas.
Welcome back. This is episode 387 of the NYYST podcast. We're live on NYY Underground. I am your host, Christian, as always, joined by my co-host, Chris. Well, they just couldn't finish the job. But you know what? I don't think I've ever felt good after a loss, but I don't feel bad after today's loss. Yanks dropped the series finale to the Houston Astros about a half hour ago. It's a little past 8:45 here on Thursday night as we're live on NYY Underground. But before we get into the Houston series here, we want you to make sure you're subscribed to the NYYST podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We're available everywhere. We will have audio-only shows throughout the course of the year, so if you're subscribed, you won't miss anything. Also, subscribe to NYY Underground. If you're in the chat tonight, smack the like, okay? Hit the subby, okay?
Okay.
And NYYU Day 2 is scheduled for 9/14 against the Boston Red Sox. You'll be so close to Juan Soto, you'll be able to smell his odor or his cologne, his manly
Does he wear
scent.
cologne out there?
He might.
He has a
Dude,
musk. Musk.
No, musk is for like an old man. This
No.
guy's got swag,
Ron Burgundy had musk.
and he was an old man.
No,
Yeah, come on. You're gonna compare Juan Soto to Ron Burgundy?
I will.
And
I love
okay.
Ron Burgundy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And make sure you tell everybody you know that the NYYST podcast is the official Yankees podcast of Odyssey. Okay, so the Yanks dropped the finale here to the Houston Astros 4-3, but it's going to be a good show tonight because I'm feeling real good about this team. It's a lot different vibe than when we recorded after they lost to the Orioles last Thursday. They still coming on here after a loss, but you know what? When you have a 5-1 homestand, when you take the first two out from Houston, you put up 19 runs in those two games, and you know they were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position today. They just couldn't get that big hit, but
And they're still in the game.
they're still in the game the whole way. You know, Aaron Judge is back. You got to feel pretty good about where this team is compared to where they were last week.
Do you think we're wrong? I was thinking about this
No,
today.
I never think I'm wrong.
You never think you're wrong. But this is a collective wrong.
No, I mean, what are you going to say, that we were wrong for the way we ripped the team after the Baltimore series?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, do you think it's wrong of us to come in. Maybe I shouldn't ask it that way. Maybe I'll say this. Are we right?
Yes.
Are we doing it the right way coming in and being emotional a little bit after each series? Like, I don't think we've been irrational. I think we've been extremely rational, which has been the root of the concern.
Look, here's what I'm going to say, and this ties into something that happened after Monday. We recorded on Monday, correct? Okay. I'm sorry I don't have my notes in front of me. I don't mean to trigger anybody.
Yeah, fucking jerk off.
A lot of the times we're going to come on here, whether or not you hear the show the following day, within an hour, couple hours of the Yankees playing. So our emotions are going to be based off of what happened that day. And we've always said the beauty of this show is that this show is meant to feel like you're sitting around at a bar or at your house or in the backyard, shooting the shit, talking Yankee baseball with your friends. That's why, somebody left a comment on last episode saying it was a disgrace that I didn't have the stats in front of me. Look, that's not what this show is. I use stats to accentuate a point, to kind of emphasize what I'm talking about, but I'm not like stats nerd.
Never have, never will be.
That's not what this show is. If that's what turns you on, there are several shows out there. I'm not encouraging you to go listen to other podcasts, but please feel free to turn us off and go listen to shows if numbers get your wiener hard. Okay. If that's what excites you, please go do that. Okay. But that's not what this show is. This show is meant to be a casual conversation amongst hardcore baseball fans. Okay. We're here shooting shit bullshit. And just like we would if Chris was sitting 2 feet from me watching the Rangers right now, breaking down the Yankee game. This is exactly how we be talking to each other. So that's what this show is, and that's why this show has made it into its 8th season, right? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 8th season, okay? That's why this show is still here. Because
that's why we're the official Yankee podcast of Odyssey. That's why we're on NYYU.
Right, because it is authentic, and it is 2 guys, and when Ryan's here, 3 guys giving you their feelings and their authentic feelings about how they're feeling at the moment. And if you feel we're being irrational, fine, because I'm on social media the entire game. A lot of yous are being irrational, okay? That's just how it is. And we get to sit here and click record for 45 minutes to an hour, and our irrationality comes out in a longer form than a 280 character tweet. So yeah, maybe we were a little too hard on the Yankees after the Orioles series, but that was a big series for them, and they laid an egg in Baltimore. Then they came home and won 5 out of 6, and the bats came alive. So I feel a lot better about this team than I did a week ago, and that is the roller coaster of 162 games. If you can't handle that, if you can't handle my mood swings, again, maybe this is not the show for you.
Well, I only bring it up because...
Is that fair?
Yeah. I think that's dead on. I think that's why we're here. I mean, that's just how it's always been, and it's how it's always going to be. My point, though, was I feel like when we first started, we were the voice of reason, and everyone else around us was...
And that's another thing. Through all the irrationality, as you guys want to call it, I don't mean to toot my own horn here, our own horn, Chris. Toot it for me.
What?
No,
that
just
we're always
do the horn sound. Toot toot. Look, you hear it first here. Like, we're ahead of the curve on what's happening with this team.
Always.
So when it becomes a mainstream narrative on Twitter, we've already talked about it
for 2 weeks. We've already had it for 2 weeks, and I'm just bringing it up because, like, if you go back,
it's not to pat ourselves on the back, but I mean, like, we know what we're talking about. No, it's
true.
It's what we know what we're talking about here. So because I don't have fucking stats in front of me, doesn't mean that we don't know what we're talking about. Okay.
Well, I think a big part of it is that we have been doing this for a while, and we've found
we have a formula that works.
So. Yeah, we found the sweet spot of, like, being rational, irrational, and having solid takes. They're not always right, but a lot of the times, like you just said, we're ahead of the curve. And back when we first started, I feel like we were the voice of reason surrounded by a bunch of maniacs. And I'm not saying that we're maniacs or that we were out of line, that we're ever out of line having concern about this team. It just feels a little different for us because, again, our fingers are on the pulse. We know we've been here before a lot. It's not like we're 20 years old doing this. I mean, like I say all the time, my first baseball memory was 1995. Like my first true baseball memory of getting emotional during a game. And we lived through a lot of Yankee baseball. And I think after that Orioles series, we saw a pattern starting to form again that we've seen all too often. And then all of a sudden, a week later, and I've said this, I mean, we say it about players, about the team as a whole. A week later, I'm looking at a completely different baseball team. And it's like, it feels fucking good, man. I mean, I know they lost today, but they hit a new high watermark last year that they didn't hit all of last year. Yesterday, sorry, that they didn't hit all of last year. What was their high? Their high watermark was 11 last year.
I don't even know. I would be surprised if, honestly, I'd be surprised if you told me they got to 10 with the way they played last year.
So, like, we're getting progress. I don't care what Houston's record is. It's the Houston Astros. They still have some really.
They still have your Don Alvarez and Kyle Tucker in that lineup and Jose Altuve. So I'm gonna give them the respect they deserve until they don't deserve it anymore.
Yeah, it's a great homestand. We got a very tough division. Even the teams that are bums are good in this division. It's just the truth. It has been for a long time.
So let's get to a couple super chats from Crackle Nuts, who I enjoyed meeting at the event at the Audi Club. Hopefully, Crackle Nuts, you're out there in right field with us on September 14th.
Yeah, because I'll be there, and I want to meet Crack These Nuts.
What's up, guys? When we are fully healthy, what player or position you think we need? Mid-card acknowledge his tribal chief. I'm mad you don't have notes. And then he goes on to say with another one, you need a stat book. Laughing emoji. You need to know every stat.
Yeah.
Well, Judge's WOBA this year is the. How about this? The guy didn't hit for an entire month, and he's got an 855 OPS right now. Does that turn you on as a stat geek? Because it turns me on.
9 home runs.
It turns me on that the guy was completely lost for 4 weeks, and his OPS is 855. So anybody that doubted Aaron Judge can take a long walk off a short pier. Okay.
What was the original question?
The original question is, what player or position do you think we need? I mean, to
second base.
Yeah, I mean, really, I made a joke after probably Tuesday's game. I said, boy, if Jason Dominguez could play second base, and people thought I was being serious, which I'm not. It's called sarcasm, okay? But you know, let's actually start with Jason Dominguez before we kind of walk through the series a little bit here. And Crackle Nut says he'll be there on the 14th. Looking forward to it, bro. Gonna be pounding some. The Yankees have a new signature beer. We'll grab a couple together. Okay, how about that?
Okay.
I forget what it's called. Anyway, so Boone said before the start of the series here, and I hate saying positive things prefaced by saying Boone said, because it kind of like evens out the positivity, but. Boone said that Dominguez is about 2 weeks away from playing in rehab games. So remember last time we talked, we said that timetable wasn't that close. Well, it might be closer than we think it is. If he's 2 weeks away, probably figure he'll need
from DHing.
Okay, he doesn't need to play the field though.
No, I don't need him in the field.
So how do you call it? Oh, fuck, what was I going to say now? This is what happened.
The timeline was a lot closer.
Yeah, so, okay,
thought.
He's going to need a full spring training, right? So he's going to need basically a full spring training. What do you want to say? That's 3-4 weeks right there. Okay, so we're looking at the beginning of July now, where Jason Dominguez becomes late June, early July. He becomes a realistic option for the Yankees.
It should be a realistic, viable, and highly considered option. I mean,
but Here's the problem. Here's the problem. He doesn't play a position where the Yankees need help right now.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm going to stop you right there. Doesn't matter what position he plays. He's not going to be able to really throw. He's DHing. He can
Okay.
swing a bat.
Listen to me, Papa. Okay.
Okay, papi.
You can't sit Giancarlo Stanton if Giancarlo Stanton continues to play like he's playing right now, carries this out, stays healthy. How are you going to have that conversation with Giancarlo Stanton? You're not playing anymore.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I don't want to have it with Giancarlo Stanton.
How
I
you
like
gonna
his
have
bat in
it?
the lineup right
How
now.
you gonna have it with Alex Verdugo? Who,
You
by the
can't.
way, this is the first time the Yankees have lost
I know.
all season with Alex Verdugo batting cleanup.
Yep.
You gonna tell Aaron Judge or Juan Soto they're not playing?
No.
So here becomes the problem and again, everything this is all reactionary. We're talking on May 9th. Again, things could be different when the Yankees are telling us that Jason Dominguez is ready to play. But when you hear less than 2 weeks, then your mind starts thinking that this is going to be here quicker than we think. Where do you slot in Jason Dominguez? And you can't say, well, he's Jason Dominguez. He plays anywhere. Do you want to upset the apple cart? I don't right now. And it sucks. And we talked about this when he got hurt. What if? And right now, all the what ifs are happening. Does he have to spend time in the minor leagues more than he needs?
I guess you're not rushing anything so long as the team is winning, right? That's
Here's the crazy part, right? Alex Verdugo is not here if he doesn't need Tommy. If he pronouns pal, Jason Dominguez doesn't need Tommy John surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I mean, even if Verdugo's not here, you're still having a major debate because the Yankees don't really like to play Stanton in the field ever. And again, then Dominguez can't really throw.
But there's no debate if Verdugo's not here because that
But what I'm saying is there still isn't a debate because of what you're saying. Verdugo's here, you're not taking him out of the lineup, and Stanton's here, and he's I don't want to say
he struck out
great.
Look, he struck out 4 times today. So this is the dichotomy of Giancarlo Stanton. But on
He's Jekyll
Tuesday,
and Hyde, man.
He hits 118-mile-an-hour piss rod. And then yesterday, I've been watching baseball for nearly 40 years. I've never seen anybody do that to a baseball. 120 miles into the second deck.
It was fucking wild. It was a wild home run.
And I'm telling my cousin, like, you have to understand, like, my cousin just really started getting to baseball in the last few years. Like, you have to understand what you just watched a man do to a baseball. Mortal men are not meant to do that to baseballs.
It was something I actually, and I never do this, I had to go back and rewind it and watch it 4 more times.
But everybody in the chat's like, Stan goes to the bench. Stan becomes a role player. Have that conversation with him if he's healthy and playing like he's playing right now. You can't do it.
But hold on, guys. It's beyond that. First of all, Dominguez coming off an injury, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, how many games did he play last year?
I think he played like 30 games.
Okay. I'm not saying the guy's not going to be great.
He's your center fielder if he doesn't get hurt, though. That's the argument against sitting him in the minor leagues.
Okay, fine. But my point is, you're fighting for someone here who played 30 games. I know he was great, and I want him in this lineup. Trust me, I'm not fighting you. What I'm saying is, if Stanton was a pile of garbage right now, which he might be in a couple months again, he might have another stretch where you can honestly justify benching him. It's very likely. I hope it doesn't happen, but obviously we all know the chances of it aren't slim. He's a extremely streaky hitter. He's been able to minimize his damage this year. But that's now. We don't know what's going to happen in 2 months from now. But you can't sit here and start arguing to just bench him now for a guy who played 30 games last year.
I'm sorry, he didn't play 30 games. He had 31 at bats. That's where I got the number from. I'm sorry. That was I'm sorry, guys. I didn't have my stats in front of me.
So what did he play? 10 games?
He played 8 games.
I was going to say 30 sounded like a lot.
Yeah, it did sound like a lot, but I did see the number earlier.
Okay,
I did some research. Okay, so for all you geeks out there, I was looking at numbers earlier. I'm old, bro. You know, if you watched How I Met Your Mother, you'll get the reference. I ate a lot of sandwiches, both figurative ones and literal ones when I
Yeah.
was younger. So it affected my brain. I'm 40 with a kid. You know, this shit happens. My mind gets twisted, okay?
Yeah, well, it just makes my point even more. And again, I'm you can probably go back in the show and find episodes where I'm screaming that Dominguez needs to be here. I'm still on that train.
No, you're right, Crackle Nuts. I didn't read stats all day.
I'm still on the Dominguez train.
I
Trust
read them
me.
for like 3.5 minutes though. I did look at some today.
Obviously your brain captured something. But my point is I'm not gonna in the same breath start to argue for a guy to be benched who's actually performed this year. Like Giancarlo Stanton performing the way he has been is a very valuable piece to this lineup, to the dynamic of this lineup, to the balance of this lineup. I can't sit here and argue against him playing the way he's been playing for a guy who's only been here for 8 games and then got hurt. Can't do it yet.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing on the other side of the coin here that the reason why this is such a difficult conversation right now is because he did get hurt. He pronouns pal again, okay, with Jason Dominguez and Alex Verdugo. The Alex Verdugo trade was made. And again, Verdugo, you look at the numbers, they don't jump off at the page, right? But he complements this team so well, both in the field, at the plate, and in the clubhouse. And I tweeted it yesterday. I said, for anybody that ripped the trade, and it was mainly because he was a Red Sox and he looked like a homeless rat. It had nothing to do with his baseball ability. Let's be fair. 85% of people, and I think that's probably lowballing it, that hated the trade did not hate the trade based on baseball ability. Because if you did, then you'd be silly because I've done it in the past. I'm not going to do it again. The 18 bums, literal bums, because I think I saw Billy McKinney with a cup out standing on 1 and 9 earlier today, begging for change, playing left field for the Yankees last year. Okay, so Alex Verdugo was obviously an upgrade, and he was a gamer. We all knew that from watching him play against the Yankees. But uh, somebody made this comp in the comments, and I think it's so fucking spot on. He's this year's Nick Swisher.
I mean, I'd like to really get the credit for that. Maybe you look and listen to all these other things except me. You ever think of that? Ever?
Why,
No?
you think you had that first?
I pretty much said him and Soto bring a Swisher energy that this team hasn't had since Swisher.
Oh no, you said him and Soto, but now this guy said he is Swisher. So
Okay. Yeah.
okay.
Genius.
Okay, so Crackle Nuts again with the super chat. He's just laying him in deep tonight. Here's a good question. If Dominguez comes back and is killing it and they bench Stan, does Stan ask to be DFA or trade it?
No.
Uh,
No.
I mean, I guess he could, but you know,
Where's he going?
where's exactly who? I mean, who's going to want to take on the contract? That's the elephant in the room that people forget about when they talk about trading. And I'm not saying you're doing it, Crackle Nuts, but when everybody says trade Stan, and
I
And
just
then if the
think
Yankees, they're going to have to take on majority of that money, and then if he gets traded, if I'm not mistaken, the Yankees don't get the $30 million that they're owed from Miami, so it's even more money that they will lose in trading Giancarlo Stanton.
yeah, not to like
Oh, and Caleb in the chat said the Yankees just sent down Ron Marinaccio.
oh, big deal.
I mean, he's pitched well since
He's been very good. He's been very good. But he's not going to be available for 5 days. So, not to like take too much time to talk about this, but I think there's a strong mutual respect between the Yankees and Stanton. Stanton's been here, and I know he hasn't been the greatest, or maybe hasn't necessarily lived up to the back of his baseball card and the guy that we thought we were getting, but he's always said and done the right things here, and I think the Yankees really respect that out of him. I know Cashman made those comments a couple years ago, but he's a douche. He makes comments like that about everyone.
And then he gets his daughter jobs on the Yes.
Yeah, right. But overall, I think this is a conversation if and when it does happen, that you're only going to have it when Stanton's in a position to justify benching him. And I think Stanton will be the first person to tell you that Dominguez deserves a spot over him if and when that time comes.
So regarding Verdugo here, and again, this all changes. Do you want him to be a one and done guy? Like, I'm thinking about that. Like, he's never going to be great. He's always going to be what he is, a slightly above average player, but the attitude and the swag and the way he fits this team and gives them a different attitude. I don't know if I want to see him leave next year because of that, you know? So I don't know, man. Like that's gonna be. We thought when the trade was made, it would be easy. Like, oh, they acquired 2 walk-year outfielders. Obviously, they're gonna chase Soto and let Verdugo go. It'll be easy one and done. But I think he is it's so underestimated how important he's been in changing the culture in that clubhouse. Which, look, man, clubhouse culture is all built on winning, right? So if the Yankees were 12-30 or whatever, either reverse it or their record would be, no one would care about clubhouse culture, but they're winning, and he's a big part of that. And I think he's kind of helped get some of the stench out from the guys like Wash Donaldson and Aaron Hicks and IKF, and he's brought this breath of fresh air in there.
I think, I mean, do you have some time slotted away for Soto this episode?
Because you want to say about him that you haven't said?
Well, if you didn't have a specific moment in the show that you wanted to get to him for any reason, then I'll say what I want to say now. Outside of Juan Soto, I just can't even think about the future right now. I'm so caught up in the moment that it's like, I don't know if I'd feel like Verdugo, they should let him walk or not let him walk based on whether or not they win a World Series this year. Would I be more okay with him leaving if they did or didn't, so on and so forth. I can't get myself there, but man, I can for one player. I texted it to you. I don't care how irrational this sounds. I really don't. I will take this and run with it. I'll die on this hill. I've seen enough. I don't care what he does. I want the New York Yankees should never let Juan Soto put another uniform on for the rest of his career. This guy, and I know we're talking about Verdugo, but my point is I can't even think that far ahead with any other player. And Verdugo's been amazing, and I agree with everything he said. But there's another guy who's also been amazing and brought pretty much that same energy. And let me tell you something, man. I've seen enough. Hand him the blank check. This kid is so much better. I can't believe I'm saying this. He is not just a little bit better than I expected. He is so much better than anyone has ever explained or could explain. I've seen enough. I don't care what he does. He does not put another uniform on for the rest of his career. This kid is a fucking New York Yankee. And you know what? I feel that way about Verdugo too, but again, I can't get ahead of myself until this team finishes this season.
So it looks like Ron Marinaccio was sent down because Nick Birdie's ready to come back.
But do you think it's fair? I'm thinking right now he's the easy choice because he threw how many pitches tonight?
Plus, he's got options. I don't think anybody else can be optioned.
I mean, is it really fair? I mean, Marinaccio has been pitching really well. Really, the whole bullpen has pitched really well.
Yesterday was the first time they allowed runs in like 27 innings.
It's insane. And who was it? Gonzalez? He's the only one I think
Hamilton got tagged. And you know what? You want to talk about sometimes we get things wrong. We might have been wrong about Ian Hamilton. I don't know. But I want to say this real quick before we move on to something else here. Is you ever doubt Matt Blake? Just think about this. Luke Weaver is now number 2 in the pecking order in the bullpen. And it's
see that changeup?
And it's by merit, bro. He deserves to be number 2 in that bullpen.
Have you seen that changeup?
Yeah, I watched him today, bro.
I mean, it's unhittable. He lacked a little command in a couple of those at bats, but man, that changeup completely drops off. It's unhittable.
So coming into this series, the Yankees were the only team in the American League, one of two in all of baseball, that had all five of their starters make at least 6 starts and pitch to an ERA under 3.75.
Incredible.
And outside, Stroman was okay today.
Not really.
He was okay.
I thought he had balls.
He
I
kept
don't
the
think he
team.
was that good. I don't
He
think he
kept
was
it.
okay.
He kept the team in the game, which is all you're kind of asking from him.
Yes.
That fourth run ended up being a killer. But after he gets tagged, absolutely, like you want to talk about guys that can hit absolute piss rods. Yordan Alvarez with that seed into the second deck of his own.
Got someone pregnant.
Actually, what got somebody pregnant was that fucking home run that Singleton hit. It hit
Oh my
facing of
God.
the third deck there.
That was wild.
Then in the following inning, bases loaded, 1 out. You're thinking, here we go, game's over. Gets Tucker and Alvarez. Then lead runner at third, nobody out. In the third inning, strands them. Kept the Yankees in the game. The Yankees had chances to win today. They were 0 for 7 runs in scoring position. It didn't happen. Okay. I'm not going to make too big of a deal about it. It's a 5-1 homestand. I thought they played well today, despite the lack of the big hit. So, like I said, there's a different feeling this week.
Yes. And again, we're saying this off of a loss. So I think it's not just the immediate emotions that we take.
You want to know
account.
why, but you want to know why too? It's Aaron Judge.
Yeah, you have a lot more hope in your heart.
When Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge, you feel a lot better about the future, immediate future in terms of this season with the
I want to
Yankees.
ask you something that you mentioned. I don't know if you meant to say it.
Can I just bring this up real quick to just point out that how Aaron Judge has played coming into today's game. Over his last 12, Aaron Judge's OPS is 1182, and it went up today because he fucking tanked one 473.
And it doesn't even feel like he's fully there.
No, because he missed another home run
shot.
He had a couple of rough early at bats, but my God, I mean, anybody that doubted that this guy wasn't going to be Aaron Judge at some point this year, I don't know what I want to smoke what you're smoking. Okay. I want to live in that delusional world.
Yeah. Let me ask you this you mentioned something about Stroman. You said he kept him in the game, and that's all you really expect out of him, or all you can ask out of him. But I just want to say a couple things. One, you're right. He not just kept him in the game, but they had plenty of opportunities early on to really just end the night early. Like we could have came on early and just said they lost. And he held it together, and that's great. In that case, that's all you can ask for. When a guy doesn't have it, and if he can do that, that's all you can ask for. But overall, I guess what I'm asking you is that what you expect from him every time out? Like just to keep them in the game? Because I'm expecting a little more out of Stroman.
I think look, based on what I've seen so far out of him this year, I'm not expecting dominant performances.
I guess my question comes more from the start of the season. No, being excited that Stroman was added to this rotation. In my mind, I wasn't just thinking, oh, good, he's a guy we can add to this rotation that will keep us in ball games, I guess is my point. He was a guy for me that I think I was like, okay, he's another dominant guy who I can really trust in October.
I don't think the word dominant ever crossed my mind. I always thought he would be tough. He wasn't going to be a guy that was going to buckle under the bright lights. So that's why I liked when you got past everything. I liked the signing. I don't think New York was going to be too big for him. But expecting him to be a guy who can go out there and dominate, like a Garrett Cole can go dominate, or even like Carlos Rodon dominate. Carlos Rodon, before we get to Carlos Rodon, let's get to Luis Gil. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 Ks on Tuesday night. The walks were up again, 4 walks. And I'm going to say it again, and maybe it'll resonate with people that wanted to argue with me saying that I'm just a stupid Yankee fan. But if Luis Gil learns to command the strike zone, he will be one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. That is not a debatable fact. This guy has the stuff to be one of the top 20 or 30 pitchers in baseball when he learns how to command the strike zone.
I think that's even too low. I said it a couple weeks ago. I think he will be considered, if he could do that, he'd be considered one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball, not just top 20 or 30. I'm talking with the big boys, elite. He's that good. Christian, he's got to have more walks than he does hits given up this season.
Again, he allowed, what do we say? He allowed 1 hit?
4 and 1 hit. 4 walks, 1 hit.
Okay. So again, the Milwaukee start was his only start this season. For people that think that I'm talking out of my ass, one start this guy's made where he's allowed more than 3 hits in a game. They can't touch him. Opposing hitters can't. Maybe they don't know where the ball's going, and that help. Maybe he can be effectively wild, which I would like, but he's not effectively wild. He's just wild. When he can control, when he can harness that, that'll be a good thing for the New York Yankees. Okay? Because I think a guy like Randy Johnson was effectively wild at
Correct.
times, right? Luis Gil's just fucking wild right now. He needs to learn to control that harness.
He's been a lot better.
Make that work for him. 4 walks is too much, dude.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what I've noticed about him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did not so much last game. I can't fully remember. Everything starts to blend after a while, but I feel like he's done a good job of isolating it to a short amount of time throughout the game. Whereas in the beginning of the season, his tough games to watch would drag. He'd labor the entire game. And I feel like now Luis Gil still might have an inning or two where he loses command, but for the most part, for the big picture of the day, you're walking away and saying, man, like, if he had 4 or 5 walks in the beginning of the season, I'd feel it. I'd be like, oh, he just walked too many guys. I got to be honest with you. His last start, if you told me he had 4 walks, I'd be shocked. Just because that's the last thing I was even focused on. I thought that he was fucking brilliant. I think this kid is so good. I really do.
Well, now I'm going to trigger you because we've been too happy here for the first half hour, 40 minutes of the show here. You think if you were the Yankees, you're letting him pitch 160 innings this year?
Me? Look.
I'm
I'm letting him pitch.
Yeah, that's you.
I'm letting Luis Gil pitch until I see a significant drop off, until I can sit back and go, this guy's arm's tired. We need to shut him down.
Right, which will happen at some point this season.
I let it happen. I let it happen. I don't say, okay, folks, it's going to be 100. Trust me, 160 innings, and that's when he's getting shut down, even if he looks brilliant. That's what we're doing. No, I wait until I see it.
Well, the Yankees have already moved the goalpost on this because when Boone was first asked about it, he said 80 innings. I know he did because I heard the interview. And now somebody said, Matt Blake said it was a pitch count thing.
I've heard pitch count from the beginning.
No, Boone mentioned,
and there was also reports about it.
Maybe Boone didn't say it exactly, but the interviewer said 80 to 100, and Boone was like, yeah, something like that. So that's where the number came from, a verification from Aaron Boone. I can tell you with 100% certainty, after not throwing for 2 years, he's not going from 0 to 150 innings. It's just not going to happen.
Because of the Yankees or because of his arm?
I think the Yankees are going to be cautious to avoid.
That's not what I asked.
Listen,
are you confident? You're saying you're confident. I need to know where you're speaking from. Are you speaking from the Yankees aren't going to let him, or are you speaking from both? Physically won't be?
I'm speaking from both. I don't think the Yankees are going to let him get there, and I think if the Yankees would let him get there, you'd start to see a guy with a dead arm.
Okay, I'd rather see it then.
Be honest with me. Don't be irrational, Chrissy here.
No. I'm being 100%.
Do you really think that he's going to be effective if the Yankees just let him go 150 innings after not pitching for 2 years? You think he's got the arm strength built up at that point?
All I'll say is this, and I'm being 100% serious with you. I'm not trying to be a douche. I'm not trying to be an idiot here. If you can, You can do it this week. Send it over to me. Find me the case studies where just because a guy hasn't pitched in 2 years, every single player hits a certain point, or at least it averages out. The study's been done. That needs to be my assumption.
When's the last time?
Hold on.
No. Okay, no.
We are programmed. We are programmed at this point to just believe, right? When we look up at the scoreboard, we see 100 pitches, right? What happens in your brain? Oh, got to start thinking about getting the bullpen up, right?
Because that's what he's conditioned. Those are what pitchers
that's
are
what we're all
conditioned to do.
Right. But we're all conditioned to think that way. Now, there might be more data on that game to game. It is just easy for us, for me, for you to just say, come on, you really think after not, I don't know.
The New York Rangers took the lead 2-1.
I know, I'm watching. All I'm asking is let it happen. Let me watch it. Let's use our eyes here because he's that good. Instead of just having a hard shutoff, let me watch it happen.
All right, when's the last time you bench pressed?
I don't fucking know. Long time ago.
All right, so go put up 250 tomorrow.
I can't.
Okay, because you haven't done it in a very long time. So expecting Luis Gil to throw 150 innings this year is on par. Maybe I'm a little bit more extreme with my analogy, but it's the same thing. You can't expect him to just go.
But I don't expect him to. I never said I expected him to either.
You said you want the Yankees to let him go.
No. All I've said was let me watch it happen. Let me watch him get tired. Let me look at a guy and say, okay, clearly he's losing gas in the tank, whether it be 110 innings, 100.
So if he's at, let's say hypothetically, he's at 103. Yankees are like, all right, we're gonna take it case by case. He's at 103. He goes out there, the fastball's down to 93. There's no break on the slider, and Yankees are like, he's done for the year.
Yep, that I agree with. 100%.
Are you going to come on here next episode screaming and yelling?
No. I would agree, as long as it's obvious to the eye, and maybe they even have some conversations with him.
I don't know who Mary Ellen is, but thank you very much for watching the show. But you have a silly comment. Schmidt to the bullpen? Absolutely not. Clark Schmidt is a very good starting pitcher, and he belongs to stay in the starting rotation. Okay, he's not a bum. Nestor Cortez is a bum. Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to trigger Kev. No, Nestor didn't pitch in this series. We talked about it last. And Nestor's been good, man. You can't say anything bad about the way Nestor's pitched this year. And Schmidt's been good too, man. You can't stick. Schmidt's
been great.
You can't put him in the bullpen. And
he's not a bullpen guy.
No, he's not. I mean, Clark Schmidt is going to be Clark Schmidt. Sometimes he's going to give you 3 over 5, and then sometimes he's going to give you 1 over 7. Like, you know, he is what he is. You can't put him in the bullpen, man. The Yankees have been spending 2 years now trying to get this guy to be a viable, long starting pitcher. When I mean long, like guy goes 6-7 innings. You're not doing that. And he's the one guy that gave the Yankees innings last year, besides Garrett Cole. You're not going to just stick him in the bullpen now and ruin the progress.
Well, he's just, again, you're losing all his value. He's not a bullpen guy. He's most valuable by far and none as a starting pitcher at this point.
And I don't know, what do you do with Gil? If the Yankees are seeing the Yankees are going to have the numbers. They're going to notice RPMs and the break on his shit, like probably before we will, right? Just stop for a second and listen. And the Yankees are knowing the slow down is going to be coming. And let's say they figure we can get 20 innings out of him, and you know that might be 2 or 3 starts. Do you want the Yankees to get those last 20 innings in the start, and then he might be done in August? Or does he become somebody that you can use out of the bullpen 10 or 15 times? That's going to be, that's going to be another debate the Yankees are going to have. And is it worth his progress now turning him into a bullpen arm after he's been a starter for 3 or 4 months?
So the reason why I was shaking my head and stuff like I was about to talk when you were talking just now was to say that's all I ask out of the Yankees is keep an eye on it. Don't come out here and give me some cookie cutter blueprint of when we need to shut Luis Gil down. If we're monitoring his spin rate and we're just going game to game here, and maybe we're seeing a guy tire out, or maybe like you said, we can kind of project based on those more specific numbers on like how many innings he might have left in the tank, that's all I ask from the Yankees. I'm not saying it's irrational or stupid for them to keep a close eye and shut him down, but part of what you said is what I wanted to bring up is if you're telling me you're going to shut him down, but because he's going to be a weapon for you out of the bullpen down the stretch, now we're having a different conversation.
Do you want that's what I'm asking you. Do you want the Yankees to burn all the innings out of the starting rotation or try to save some for the bullpen?
I don't know, because I don't think he's that valuable out of the bullpen in the regular season. Now, if we're talking October bullpen,
because you could be in a situation where he's done and can't pitch in October. Like the Yankees are just at the point where we're not gonna. The arm's dead. We got everything out of him we could this year. He's not a viable option in October.
If you're doing that, let him pitch. Let him start until he can't pitch it, until you think he's ready to shut down for the year. If you're telling me you're going to be cautious because you might use him out of the bullpen in October, we are having a completely different conversation.
And the conversation going on in the chat right now is going to a 6-man rotation. No.
Oh, I'm really glad that was brought up.
You want to know why? Because I'm not taking any starts away from Garrett Cole. If he's healthy, I'm not taking any starts away from Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole gets the ball every 5 days. And
who needs to? Why would you need to skip Garrett Cole? There's off days all the time.
I'm not doing it. Why would I take it? First, let's
skip someone else.
Why?
Skip Luis Gil.
Then what's the point? What are you going to start him every 10 days? What's the point of starting him then?
Well,
I'm not taking anybody off of regular. Why would you take anybody off of regular rotation? Number one, why would you do that to anybody? You're going to tell Carlos Rodon now you're pitching every 6 days instead of every 5 days. How do you think he's going to like that? And especially if he's pitching well.
Yeah, agreed. And I just want to say this: I've never been for a 6-man rotation.
The only person you could sell me on is Nestor, because I don't think Nestor's going to make it to the finish line this year.
Well, that was going to be part of my point. In this case, you're talking about, you're so worried about Luis Gil, but we have quite a few guys that we should be concerned about. Nestor Cortez proved that he really loses gas, right? Luis Gil hasn't done it in 2 years. Hasn't done it ever, really. Pitched a full season, obviously, but hasn't even pitched at all in a couple of years. Rodon, injured last year. How many innings did he throw last year?
I think it was I want to say in the 80s.
Clark Schmidt, another guy who you never know. If he's going deeper into ball games, you don't know what he looks like down the stretch. So if there's ever going to be a rotation.
Actually, he didn't even throw any. He threw 64 innings last year, Carlos Rodon.
Yeah. So
he's almost close. He's 2/3 of the way there. He's pitched 43 already this season.
We're so concerned about Luis Gil. Why? Because he's young and he's injured and hasn't done it before? If anything, for me, he's the freshest and youngest. I mean, I'm just as concerned with Rodon after last year. I'm just as concerned with Nestor after what we saw 2 years ago in the postseason. I mean, I'm not saying I'm for it, but all I'm saying is if there's one rotation I wouldn't be against it, it'd be this one.
I just don't know how much it makes sense.
Stroman's another one. I mean, the guy's hurt every single year. What do you throw 130 maybe last year, a couple of years ago?
Can you speak to this? Are pitchers creatures of habit?
1,000%.
So one extra day to a casual baseball observer doesn't seem like a lot, but what does it mean to a starting pitcher?
Yeah, no, and that's where I agree with you, right? That's where the argument comes in, where I can't argue against that. But I will say this: there's a lot of days off, and like people think it's every 5th day that a starter's taking the ball. It's not always the case. There's a lot of days off where it's every 6th day, and I guess that doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean,
there's long stretches of time though where
right. And I, again, if you're going to make the argument for me to be completely against it, that's where you make the argument.
So, I mean, again, these are all things we're talking about that could be good problems
They're
for
all
the
good
Yankees.
things.
It could be good problems for the Yankees to have. And Carlos Rodon is a big piece of that. And I thought he was fantastic on Wednesday night. 6 1/3, he gave up 2 earned runs. The Yankees were up big in that game at that point. It was 8-1, I think.
It was 8-1.
8-1, and Boone tried to steal the set. He was after that leadoff hit, or whenever that hit was given up
Mhm.
there, he would, if the game was closer, he would have taken him out
Oh,
of the
for
game.
sure.
So he tried to steal the 7th inning from Rodon. Rodon gives up the run. I don't even count it because you knew what Boone was up to. Rodon's night was done. They were just trying to steal the 7th inning. So Rodon with a great bounce back start after getting rocked in Baltimore. So, that's 3 of the last 4 really where he's been really, really good. So again, this is a guy that's kind of stepping up here and taking that number 2 mantle where you can feel confident that if you're going into a postseason series starting with him and Garrett Cole, that's pretty good. Again, everybody's like, oh, Garrett Cole hasn't pitched yet this year. Again, Cole threw a second bullpen in between the last time that we recorded. He was up to 20 pitches this time, added some breaking stuff in there. He said everything felt okay. Everybody freaked out because he only said okay. But what was he gonna do? Say, guys, I'm dandy. Like he could have, because he's Garrett Cole and he would have gotten away with it. But he said he felt okay. What do you want him to say? To me, that means that he felt okay. His arm was probably a little tired. They ramped it up a little extra, but I, I haven't heard that anything that we should be concerned about in the preceding day. So, you know, everything is tracking to him coming back and tracking to him, taking the ball. Again, he's a guy that's going to need a full spring training. So whenever the Yankees say rehab, you're going to look at maybe a 3 to 4 week situation before he becomes ready to pitch for the Yankees. So everything's on track right now for him. And hopefully, you know, we're sitting here. I'm thinking it's probably going to be another 6 weeks. I fucking hate saying that because I love the fucking guy and I want to see him pitch for the Yankees. But realistically, based on the ramp up, it's probably another 5 to 6 weeks away.
You want to know why Garrett Cole just feels okay? Because that's truly what he feels. He's not going to feel great. He's not going to feel excited. This dude's fucking wants to be out on that mound so bad. He feels okay. He feels okay, as in I feel as good as I fucking can feel without being a part of this team right now. That's it. He's fine. He's progressing. That's all you can ask. But we have to just go back to Rodon real quick. I said this to you earlier. You wish that he could have put it together enough to get through that 7th inning. You would have, not that you would have felt better, like you feel worse about it, but you would have just had that feeling like Rodon just really fucking took it to them. Like you would have had more of for him, I guess, to just get through that inning. But one thing Carlos Rodon did that I think we should mention, because we talked about pitchers doing this last episode, a great pitcher, one of my favorite Yankees of all time. What did Carlos Rodon do last night?
Are you alluding to pitching to the scoreboard?
He pitched to the fucking scoreboard, man. That guy went out there in an 8-1 game and he said, here's my shit, see if you can hit it. He didn't fuck around. He went out there and he took care of business. He clearly ran out of gas at the end, but you got to really respect the fact that he went out there and did that and was still dominant.
And before we wrap up the show here, I want to give a little love to Anthony Volpe. You saw this shit on Tuesday night. He tried. He had an approach up there against Justin Verlander, who loved seeing the Yankees rock Justin Verlander. Okay, I don't care if he's 55 years old. Anytime we can rock Justin Verlander, I'm going to be here for it. He had an approach up there. He wanted to porch Justin Verlander, and he came close on 2 attempts, and on the 3rd time he got him.
Yep.
And then today he porched one again today. That's got to be Anthony Volpe, man. He's got to be thinking the other way, especially at home. He's got enough pop in that bat where he can reach the porch pretty easily, or drive balls into the gap, or hit him in between the first base hole. That's got to be his approach, man. I think Anthony Volpe was a lot better on this homestand
Oh
than,
yeah,
than we've seen him leading up to it. It makes me feel a little bit better about him staying in the leadoff spot. And I know he struck out to end the game.
it was a great at bat.
That was a great fucking at bat, man. And again, we're not here to give out participation trophies, but last year Anthony Volpe's 3 pitches and done flailing at sliders. He stayed in there and he battled and he got himself a pitch to hit in that at bat. He missed it, and that fastball was maybe a little too high for him to go after, but he battled, man. And the only thing you want to get on him, because maybe that would have been a ball to lay off there. You got to find a way to get Juan Soto to the plate in that situation. But I got to give a lot of credit to Anthony Volpe, man. Much, much better in this series. And I know Hader struggled. He's given up as many runs this year as he did all of last year, but still Josh Hader on the mound, man. So, I think
Very difficult to pick up on that ball too.
Volpe's trending in the right direction. I think a lot of guys are trending in the right direction offensively, except for one guy. And I don't even want to bring down the mood that much, but the Yankees have to start getting something out of Gleyber Torres. John Birdie is back. Oswaldo Cabrera is still holding his own pretty much out there.
Phenomenal defensively.
Birdie is a guy hit 290 last year. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but these are the reasons why the Yankees picked him up. He hit 290 last year. He led baseball in steals in 2022. He is an offensive threat if he gets the at-bats. And DJ LeMahieu is working his way back. You don't have to play Gleyber Torres if he's going to continue to do this.
Yeah, there's no point. Whether you play him or not, I just don't see his value going up enough for the Yankees to be able to make anything of it come the trade deadline at this point. So you got to just play your best players.
And I'm not rooting against him. I want Gleyber Torres.
I love Gleyber.
I want Gleyber to be a part of this winning and contribute to a win. I want I said this. You said it. I want him off the team. He let off the inning with a hit. He got Josh Hader. He gave the Yankees an opportunity there. But every time he's done something like that, he's went right back into it. Right back into it. Judge has gotten out of it. Stan's gotten out of it. Rizzo's gotten out of it. All these guys have gotten out of it. Gleyber's not gotten out of it. It's May 9th. It's time, bro. He's so much better than this. And I know it's you people that have been longtime listeners here are like, what are you talking about? You hate Gleyber. No, I'm just a very harsh critic of Gleyber Torres. I don't hate him. But
I love Gleyber, man.
He's so much better than this, man. And it's killing me to watch him just be a fucking dead spot in the outfield, and in the lineup, I should say. Even the catchers were hitting over 350 in their last X amount of games. They mentioned on the broadcast the other night. Everybody stepped up except for Gleyber Torres.
Can I ask you a question? Because I wasn't able to watch when this happened.
I don't know what anybody's watching if they're saying Gleyber Torres has been good this year. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, no, you're blind. Or you're just not paying attention. Was it him who had the base running blunder?
Look, people want to give the people there's a lot of different moving
parts.
What
happened? Because I wasn't.
What happened?
I wasn't paying attention.
What happened is that really the play could have been avoided if Gleyber was hustling, which he wasn't. Volpe's got to pay a little bit more attention if you're being fair, but also he's watching the lead runner to make his next move. Rojas could have been a little bit more aggressive with the stop, but Gleyber's halfway up the line there. So, where does it fall on? To me, more strikes are probably against Gleyber in that situation than anybody else.
I don't know. I got to go back and watch it, I think.
So I don't know. That's my take is that if anybody has to get blamed, there's probably 3 guys you could blame. I'm laying the most blame at Gleyber. Wasn't running as hard as he possibly could have. If he was running hard right from the jump, he's probably scoring. If we're being honest with you, he's way too far off at third base, and everybody's got to know that in a situation like that, Volpe. He's got to pick up the third base coach, yes, but he's also watching where the lead runner is and figuring when Gleyber's that far off third, he can get to third himself. And Rojas, could have been a little bit better with the stop. So, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around there.
Okay.
But the last thing I want to bring up here regarding Gleyber Torres is the contract. And when did Gleyber Torres have his worst year as a professional?
Don't tell me.
You don't have to give me the year. Just give me the situation that led to his worst year as a professional.
The last time he was going to earn a contract?
What did the Yankees do to him in the offseason?
This
What?
offseason?
No. What did the Yankees do to him in the offseason before this season? Before that season? What happened?
They gave him a contract.
No. Listen, follow. Okay, maybe I'm not being clear enough here. Why were the Yankees in a position where they had to go stopgap shortstop, wait for Anthony Volpe?
Because they tried moving him and he's a piece of garbage?
He was atrocious. He was so bad at shortstop, the Yankees changed their whole organizational plan because he was so bad at shortstop. So
wait, I'm not wrong, right? They did give him a. They
no,
paid
he's never
Gleyber.
no, he's never gotten a contract.
What am I thinking? Arbitration?
Yeah, he's gotten arbitration every year. He's
But
gotten
he's
raises
never gotten
on
a contract.
No, he's never gotten a contract.
Yes, he was a miserable option.
He had a miserable existence as a shortstop for the Yankees. So we know when Gleyber Torres is out of his comfort zone, these things affect him. Is this that big of a deal? What's the other explanation? We know he's not this bad of a baseball player.
I think there's certain players out there.
Chris, we said this in regards to Aaron Judge. He didn't just forget how to play baseball. And I know what the Carolina tied it.
Yeah.
And we know that Gleyber Torres is not the level of baseball player that Aaron Judge is, but he's a good baseball player. He just didn't forget how to play baseball this year.
I think there's certain players, and yeah, he's obviously, we talk about it all the time. I don't want to say like a head case, because I think he does have a good head on his shoulders in a lot of ways. But clearly he gets in his own way, for sure. But I just think there's certain players out there that just never put it all together and hit the ceiling that everyone expected them to hit. And I think the ceiling you saw in Gleyber wasn't the 38 home run year.
But he's not even going to be a 270-25 guy. 70 runs batted in. He's way below that line.
Right. Well, my point is that year he had all those home runs with the juice balls came out. Right. And then all of a sudden he's right back down to earth.
Okay. He's not that player, but he's also not this player.
Okay. So I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I think last year was his actual ceiling.
And that was pretty good.
It was pretty good, but it was nowhere near.
It's not number one prospect good, but that is a cog in the wheel on a championship team. He can be a 6-hitter on a championship team with the way he played last year, and I would have no fucking problem with it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, my biggest disappointment in him and playing like this year is not that he's this bad. It's that I thought he finally peaked. Not peaked like he'll never be this good, but finally reached who he was going to be last year. And I thought that's what we were going to get out of Gleyber Torres. And for him to be this friggin' miserable is so disappointing after I felt that he reached that level of maturity last year.
Okay, so that's the exact point I'm trying to make. Okay, I think that was the ceiling. And just like you said, yeah, it's great. It's nowhere near the ceiling that we thought we were getting out of him. And now all of a sudden he's back down to what you'd have to say is the floor. I mean,
no, he's under the floor right now.
Well, obviously not. I mean, this is.
No, he can't. He's worse than the floor.
Okay, so he's in the basement.
No, dude, he's under the house. Like they built the house over him.
Okay, well, look,
like that's how bad he's been.
My point.
They laid the concrete over him already.
When that's the ceiling last year, that's your best year. And a guy just can't put it all together throughout his career consistently, you're going to get a lot of stretches of games like this. I don't think Gleyber's going to be this bad all year. But yeah, he's not going to live up to what he was last year because that's the ceiling. And I think what do they call it? A Freudian slip? I think it was when you said he peaked last year. I think that was the proper word. I think he peaked. And I think that that's Gleyber's issue is that
Well,
he'll
peaking
never
at
live up.
28 as a baseball player is not good.
No, it certainly fucking is not.
So, and I'm not being, this is not me being a dick to anybody. Okay. I know I come off that way a lot of the times with the things that I say, but I'm not. Okay.
You
But
are a
if,
dick, but you're not being one right now.
yes. Okay. Uh, if you are in the chat and saying trade Glaber, what realistically do you think the Yankees are getting for Gleyber Torres?
You know when
This
they should have traded him?
2 years ago
Yes. And then you know when else they should have traded him?
in the offseason.
Yeah. And then now, do you know where that ship is now?
It's next to the Titan submersible.
Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace.
When's the Netflix documentary coming out about that?
Is it definitely coming out?
I'm dying for
It's
it.
definitely coming out.
I'm dying for it.
I need twists and turns though. I can't just have them tell me the story. I need someone's fucking diary to come out and like he fucking plotted this and knew it was happening.
But he was on it.
Yeah, but he knew pretty much. He fucking made it out of Legos. He made the controller was like an old Xbox controller.
It was. It was like a knockoff Xbox controller you bought.
Yeah,
at
it wasn't
Circuit
even
City.
a real. It wasn't even a real Xbox controller. It was one you buy on Amazon from China.
But anyway, what were we even talking about? Gleyber Torres, right?
Yeah.
Realistically, you want the Yankees to move Gleyber Torres at the deadline, right? Are you just saying that because you want him off the team and you don't care? That's fine. But you cannot if you are then still at that point of the trade deadline, that means that Gleyber Torres is a 500 OPS guy, which is what he is right now. Chris, he's got a 500 OPS. He's hitting with no power whatsoever. That's alarming. That's
It's
the big,
crazy.
like
Yeah,
even
because even when he does get on base and get a hit, has he gotten anything more than a single?
he had I think he had that double in Milwaukee where he cleared the bases.
Didn't
That's
he finally hit a home run the other day?
He does have a home run, yes, in that final game against
Baltimore?
Baltimore. Let's get his up-to-date OPS before we close out the show here because I think it's important to have the stats. And I'm sorry to trigger anybody because it's going to take me a second
You're
to
not even fucking prepared.
because I'm taking a second here to look it up here. Gleyber Torres is up-to-date OPS 565. Okay, so even when Aaron Judge was at his lowest, his OPS was still in the 700s. Oswaldo Cabrera still hovering around 700 at 697. Okay. John Birdie, I know limited, much smaller sample size, but to make a point, 590. Okay. Jose Trevino, wet noodle catcher, 702. Austin Wells, 623. Do you get the point now? Do you
And what's his?
565.
Oh my God.
So that's alarming.
Look, let's just say this. It's alarming really for anyone. It really is. It's alarming for anyone. It's especially alarming for Gleyber Torres.
Mid 700s should be in it. He should be able to do that without even trying.
With his eyes closed. That's who Gleyber Torres is.
And he was the only Yankee with an 800 OPS last year, and it was right on the dot. So we know that he's fully capable of it.
And like I said, I mean, that was what I think is his ceiling now. But years ago, we thought that was a mediocre season from him. So I could even argue that he should have been better than what we saw, than what he's been.
So if he's going to continue to be a guy with this type of OPS production, then you're not getting anything for him. And if you're telling me you want him gone just because he's a black hole and he needs to be off the team, I'm not going to argue with that. If you're sitting there wanting him traded because he sucks and then expecting the Yankees to go out there and get something that's going to really help the team throughout the course of the season, find me the dumb GM that's going to go ahead and do that. Because you also have to understand what Gleyber Torres' situation is. He's a rental. You're not going to say, well, maybe we'll fix something
Right,
and then
right.
get him back for 25 and then he'll be a good player for us.
Right.
You're gonna trade crap for crap at that point. And isn't it, I mean, again, if the Yankees don't acquire a middle infielder, isn't it just better to see at that point if he finds it in the final couple of
Right.
months?
Agreed.
So, I mean, that's where we're at, and the Yankees are going to be in Tampa Bay to kick off a series with the Rays here, starting tomorrow night against. It's actually these weird fucking start times. 6:50 tomorrow. Schmidt's going to take the ball for the Yankees. The Yankees are 25-14, 11 games over 500 right now. 4:10 on Saturday for Nestor Cortez, and then 1:40 to close out the series against the Rays with Luis Gil on the mound. And I paid a little bit more attention to the Rays last weekend because they were playing the Mets when they swept the Mets. The Trop was a house of horrors. Cat show, walk, home runs, all that nonsense. They gotta implode that place. Seriously. I don't care if they play in a fucking actual Little League park. If they played in the actual Sandlot, it would be better than playing in Tropicana Field. And I
It'd
know
be nostalgic at least. At the
I know
very
you.
least.
I know the worst movie ever. But
Don't fucking talk to me about Sandlot. It's
You
one of my
can-
favorites now.
I thought you hate the Sandlot.
I told you, you jerk off. I watched it with my son,
Oh, now that you watched it with your son,
and I
okay.
fucking love it now.
Okay, so you
All right.
never told me that you watched it with your son.
Yes,
okay?
I did. I swear on anything, and you never responded to me.
Sometimes I don't pay attention to you. Okay.
And I love it now. So
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So if they played at the actual Sandlot, that would be a much better place to play Major League Baseball than the Trop. So just hope that the Trop doesn't rear its ugly head this weekend. But we do hope that you've hit the you smacky the likey, hitty the subby while you've been in the chat all night here. Subscribe to NYYU. Join us September 14th for NYYU Day 2. You'll get a co-branded Yankees and NYY Underground t-shirt with your ticket purchase. And like we said, you'll be able to be so close to Juan Soto, you can throw him some peanuts and Cracker Jacks in between innings.
and smell his musk.
And his musk. Okay. You want to go with musk? Okay.
Yeah.
And make sure you tell everybody we are the official Yankees podcast of Odyssey. Subscribe to the NYYST podcast wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat tonight, man. I had a great time with this episode, man. It feels good. It feels good to be in a good mood doing the show, and I'm glad that the Yankees lost tonight didn't bring us down because they played good baseball this week.
Yeah. And that's all we ask for.
So they played good baseball this week. Good baseball equals good moods and equals good episodes of the NYYST podcast. Okay. So thank you
Okay.
very much for listening. And thank you. I should say, I always want to thank everybody for the continued support of NYYST and NYY Underground. Because if we don't thank you for your support is why we're still here. So always got to say thank you. And thank you very much for listening and watching episode 387. Chris, say goodbye.
Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no, we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, that's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text. From